Hi, I'm Emily Griffey, Policy Director at Voices for Virginia's Children.
And I am Chloe Edwards, Outreach Coordinator at Voices for Virginia's Children.
This past fall, we launched our campaign for a trauma-informed Virginia. One goal of that campaign was to create a unified policy agenda around trauma-informed policy and practice with our partners from across the state, including our trauma-informed community networks.
In my role with Voices, I am responsible for connecting local and regional partners, the Voices policy team. One of the ways that our campaign for a trauma-informed Virginia policy agenda was created is that we see trauma-informed community networks as key informants of our policy initiatives. We identified best practices that were happening at the local level that could be implemented at the state level, as well as room for improvement and challenges that we also wanted to address through our campaign for a trauma-informed Virginia.
Several of the things that we heard from local partners helped inform our agenda, including the ask for more support staff in school and to increase the ratio of school counselors to students. This past General Assembly session, the GA put in $12 million in the budget to reduce that ratio, and they made a policy shift to switch that no more than 20% of the counselors' time could be spent on administrative duties. Other areas that we saw successes were around child welfare and implementing the Family First Prevention Services Act. The General Assembly funded $851,000 to kickstart the use of evidence-based and trauma-informed practices across the state. That money will be issued as an RFP from DSS after July 1 when the budget goes into effect.
We hosted a kinship listening tour all across the state of Virginia and addressed many of those conversations with the trauma-informed community networks, kinship families that act as the backbone of our child welfare system in need of supports so that the child is not at risk of entering the foster care system. We spoke with counselors in Roanoke, a part of the trauma-informed community network there, that were advocates and really the experts in informing us of the needs of increased supports in the schools for students. We went to Charlottesville at their school's inauguration and saw Jim Sporleader speak from Paper Tigers, the principal of Lincoln High School, and they talked about the equity in their community and the historical trauma that has occurred. So we saw all of these wonderful people that really informed our efforts, and that's how we created our policy agenda. Trauma-informed community networks really acting as key stakeholders in our community.
Yeah. So we're so happy to help these folks help inform our agenda and advocate for its successes as well. We had over 40 folks come to our campaign for a trauma-informed Virginia Advocacy Day at the end of January, and we're able to support these asks for increased counselors, increased mental health supports, and even funding for the trauma-informed community networks. That was one area that we didn't get this year, and we know we'd like to come back next year to ask for more support for those networks.